Today we're talking about too rich picks, meaning too expensive, too rich for my blood. Why would you overpay for an early wide receiver or quarterback or other position when you can get the value later? Last year, guys, Deebo Samuel, Jalen Waddle, Michael Pittman, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamar Chase, just a few names at wide receiver, not even mentioning other positions that were completely slept on while people were too busy drafting guys like Robert Woods and Brandon Ayuk early on. Because that's what the consensus told you. In this video, I'm going to give you 5 players, guys. 5 players that are too rich, too expensive this season that I'm not going to pay for. I'm going to get the value later. So 5 players that are too rich for my blood in this episode. Let's get to it. All right, guys, if you have not got it yet, head on over to thefantasyfootballcouch.com or Google 16-round draft solution. Use code TUBE20, experience 16 rounds. Draft kits are dead. Anyone selling you a draft kit, if you see draft kit anywhere, it's not going to help you guys. It's not a first aid. A first aid kit is practical. A draft kit, it's just cookie cutter. It's just put together like a kit. It's a cookie cutter kit, right? You want a solution. You want something practical. You want to be able to find the Amon-Ra St. Browns, the Jamar Chases, the Cooper Kupps of the season, the Deebo Samuels of last year, the workhorse running backs. You don't want the bust. Last year, everyone told you Dalvin Cook. According to consensus, Dalvin Cook was a top 4 pick. He busted. He finished 13th, or where did he finish? 16th amongst running backs. Nick Chubb busted on his ADP last year as well. It's about getting the value, knowing the optimal players drafted in each round. 16 rounds delivers that in the best form possible, as close to bulletproof roster you can get, and it's going to put you light years ahead of the competition. Get 16 rounds, guys. I've linked it below. Use code TUBE20. Stop the video, pause the video, whatever you got to do. Go get 16 rounds. Use code TUBE20. Secondly, guys, leave a thumbs up. Let me know below, who are you not going to overpay for? I'd love to get your opinion, guys, on who is too expensive this year. We want to talk. We want to make it interactive. Very, very important. And finally, guys, Monday, it's coming. The fantasy front lines are here. Are you ready to enlist and get ready for battle with me, the counselor? I'm doing something that's never been done before in the way that it's going to be done. Super excited, guys. Head on over to battle right now and with me Monday. And to get first peek at this, I've linked a Discord. Click on the link right here, the Discord, and I'm going to be blasting out the information on Monday, guys. So super excited. Fantasy front lines is coming. Are you ready for battle? This is going to be ultra exclusive, ultra exciting. Super, super excited about this. Fantasy Frontlines coming Monday. So join the Discord group, guys, below. Not only join the Discord group for this as an announcement, but just join the Discord group for the community. All right, guys? Amazing community. Linked it here below. Or, DM me on Instagram, battle. I'll also have one of my team to DM you guys information Monday on this, all right? So just DM me on Instagram, battle, or join the Discord below for Fantasy Frontlines. All right, first player here. Let's dive into it, all right? And again, comment below. That's too rich for my blood. Too rich picks, right? Too expensive. Who am I not paying for, all right? And the first one that just jumps out at me, too expensive. All right, the guy I'm talking about is Christian McCaffrey. Let's get it out in the open here. He thrived in 2018 when Cam Newton was quarterback. He thrived when Kyle Allen was quarterback. This is a different offense now, okay? The guys that are fighting for position for quarterback right now are Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield, okay? Baker Mayfield, he could be solid, could be safe, could dump the ball off enough to Christian McCaffrey. We saw it with Kareem Hunt over the years. Listen, I'm not excited at all about Christian McCaffrey this year. Well, you're saying, well, no, Joe, he's still healthy, this and that. This guy got hurt last year for not being touched. That being said, I still think hear me out here. I think the opportunity is there. I still think the talent is there. I still think he can get it done. The big question is when you hire somebody, right? Especially in this case for your fantasy football team. The big question is, can he get it done? He's done it before, so the answer is yes. Will he get it done? That's where I have the question marks. Again, playing 10 games the past 2 seasons, different offense from what we've seen, right? Apparently he is healthy going into this season, which is great. But you got to imagine that they're going to lighten his load. They got Chuba Hubbard. They brought in another, they have options now, right, at running back. So what I'm trying to say here to you is this. I don't know if he's going to be utilized the way he was in 2018, 2019. Can he do that? Yes. Another problem I have is he's too rich. He's too expensive. Why would I pay a first-round pick, or not even first-round, top 3 pick, on a guy that's played 10 games the past 2 seasons. That to me is expensive. I still see more upside with a guy like Jonathan Taylor, Najee Harris, Derrick Henry earlier on. Christian McCaffrey is just too expensive considering he's done absolutely nothing over the past 2 years. 7 games last year, 442 yards, 1 touchdown on the ground, right? Now, some people say, well, Joe, it wasn't a catastrophic injury. It wasn't like a big torn ACL. That makes it worse. The fact that he wasn't touched and missed the season makes it worse. So that's all I got to say. He's too expensive. Can he go back to 2018, 2019 form? Absolutely. This guy could be the number 1 running back this year, fantasy points. Am I drafting him? No, too expensive for me. Too rich for me. Too rich draft pick. Okay? Too rich. Next guy here, number 2. Let's move on to number 2. And this really gets me. You know I'm an Austin Eckler hater. The guy had years to wow us. We're not wowed. He played behind Melvin Gordon. If he was that good, he would have passed average, mediocre Melvin Gordon. He couldn't do that. He barely did. Finally got the starting job after like years. Years to wow us. We're not wowed. This is a guy, when he started his career, had 2 rushing touchdowns year 1, 3 rushing. Listen to this. 2017. 2 rushing touchdowns, 2018, 3 rushing touchdowns, 2019, 3 rushing touchdowns, 2020, 1 rushing touchdown, okay? Played 10 games in 2020, okay? So, add it up. That's 9 touchdowns in 4 seasons, okay? Let me repeat this. I want this to stick in your head. By the way, Austin Eckler sitting 3rd on the consensus rankings right now. 3rd amongst running backs. So, they're telling you to draft them in round 1, okay? Now, we said 9 rushing touchdowns. Again, let me repeat that. In 4 seasons. Now, he did have a couple, 2019 had that big year, 8 receiving touchdowns, 993 receiving yards. So he got it done in the receiving game, and I get it. Last year, had himself a pinnacle year. Pinnacle, when I'm saying, like, the best year of his life. 12 touchdowns on the ground and 8 touchdowns receiving. This guy, 12 touchdowns in 1 season. This was an anomaly. This would be like me hitting a 3-point shot from the bleachers up top. I'm in a stadium. I'm at the NBA stadium. I'm at crypto.com arena. I'm in the nosebleeds and I just launched the ball and I hit a 3-point shot from the bleachers. That is what Austin Eckler did last year. He got lucky. The guy had and the thing is, he couldn't even rush for 1,000 yards. He had 906 rushing yards. Right? And he was kind of the focal point. Now he had 206 attempts. That's not enough for a first-round pick for me. I don't care how many balls he catches. Right? He had 70 receptions. Okay? So, pinnacle year last year, 647 receiving yards, 8 receiving touchdowns. Great year. Not bad. They brought in Isaiah Spiller now. Isaiah Spiller is going to be the goal line guy. He's built to be a goal line guy. They're going to relieve Austin Eckler of his anomaly duties. He's never had this year in his life. He got lucky, finished the year, played 16 games, didn't even finish the year. And he had good fantasy numbers. All right. Now, again, the mainstream are copying and pasting him from last year. That's what they're doing. They're telling you this guy was a number, where did he finish last year? Number 3, number 2, and they're just copying and pasting him. That's all they're doing. There is no logical thinking. They're not sitting here analyzing this with you saying, well, in 4 years, he had 9 touchdowns. Isn't it kind of weird that he had 12? And isn't it kind of a weird coincidence that they might want to lighten his load by bringing in Isaiah Spiller? Maybe, just maybe, there's a thought that he might get a reduction in workload, just a thought. Either way, too rich for me, for a guy who's only peaked at 206 attempts, has not eclipsed 1,000 yards rushing. I like workhorses round 1, period. Austin Eckler's a no for me. Number 3 here, too rich for my blood. Are you guys ready for this one? We're talking Justin Jefferson. Now, Justin Jefferson, you're like, oh, I love Justin Jefferson. I love him. He's the best. I love him, Joe. He's great. Let me give you an interesting statistical standpoint. Some people say, well, Joe, you don't talk stats. Because I don't want to bore you with stats. I just know what's up, right? If I bored you with stats last year, I would have said that, Debo is better than Ayuk. You guys would have been like, well, no, he's not. But I would have said, well, I see the upside in Debo. Well, you said, well, no, you're crazy. Give me stats. Now, I'm not to say I'm not a stats guy. I just don't nitpick. Stats don't make or break my decisions. I hope I worded that better. All right. So when I look at Justin Jefferson last year and I look at Adam Thielen the first 8 games. Now, Adam Thielen got hurt near the end of the season last year. Guess what? You would think that based on where they're being drafted, I can get Thielen after round 5. I have to spend a Justin Jefferson first round pick, too rich draft pick on Justin Jefferson, right? Too rich for my blood. You would think that based on their ADP that Jefferson completely crushed them the first 8 or 9 weeks of the season, like in targets. No. Justin Jefferson had 68 attempts compared to Adam Thielen, who had 66 attempts. These guys are on par, in targets. When you look at targets, Justin Jefferson, 68 targets, Adam Thielen, 66 targets. Throwing targets. That's how many times they were targeted. They were very close. Week 1, 10 targets for Thielen, 9 for Jefferson. Week 2, Jefferson, 10 to 7 to Thielen, right? Jefferson, 11 targets, 9 targets week 3. Oh, week 4, 8 targets for Thielen, 7 for Jefferson. So what I'm trying to say here, guys, is that they're on par for targets. It's not like Jefferson was out-targeting Thielen. And when you look at touchdowns where they finished last year, both having, 10 touchdowns. So, again, you guys are all excited about Jefferson. You're like, I love Jefferson, 616 yards. Yes, he crushed them in receiving yards, but he played more games, right? Jefferson had 17 games. Thielen had 13. So, I look at Thielen, 10 touchdowns. Again, 10 touchdowns apiece. 95 targets for Thielen. Jefferson, 167. But there was a difference in those games, right? There was a difference of 3-4 games there, right? So, Thielen could have at least finished with, I would say, at least 135, 140, and Jefferson would have finished with 150, right? It would have been very close. So, again, Jefferson, too expensive. Give me Thielen later, who could theoretically be the wide receiver 1. Yes, I said it, right? Absolutely. Give me Thielen later. Jefferson, round 1, very expensive. All right. Number 4 here. Who's too rich? Too rich draft pick. Way too expensive. This guy is sitting like number 4 or 5 on the Consheepsis rankings amongst tight ends. The guy I'm talking about is Darren Waller. Very expensive. Why am I paying for Darren Waller? You are drafting a guy that played 11 games last year. Yes, it was 11 games. What do you have? 2 touchdowns, 93 targets, 55 receptions, 665 yards. I know he was banged up. The year before, peaked at 145 targets. Why am I paying for a tight end if everyone is so high on Davante Adams? You guys think Davante Adams is the guy. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't rack Waller a top 4, top 5 tight end and have Adams as a top 3, top 4 wide receiver. It doesn't work like that. The volume's not there. First and foremost, let's go back. Let's recalculate here. The number 1 wide receiver on the Raiders is Hunter Renfrow, peaking last year at 128 targets, okay? I want to get these numbers in your head. Okay, I want you to, if you make a decision to draft Waller, if you make a decision to draft Adams, that's fine. These guys could both finish top 5, both of them together, whatever. But you got to know the facts instead of just, hey, copy and paste, right? Waller was good a couple years ago, 145 targets. He was the number 1 wide receiver. This was 2020. 2021, he got hurt, 11 games. Like I said, only 93 targets, all right? The number 1 wide receiver was Renfrow with 128. Everybody is now saying that Adams is going to finish exactly the same way he did last year. And for him to do that, he needed 169 targets and the rapport with the guys hat I'm wearing right now, the Green Bay Packers, Aaron Rodgers. So 169 targets for Adams. If that's the case, Waller has to be a pylon. Darren Waller and Renfrow have to be sideline pylons for Adams to get force-fed 169 targets. So to have Waller as a top tight end that's coming off 2nd, 3rd round, his latest 3rd round, but, I'm not doing it. I'm not paying that price for Waller. Too rich, too expensive for me, for a guy who peaked at 145 targets when he was the wide receiver 1, tight end 1, whatever you want to call it, in 2020. Now in comes Adams, who's going to demand 169 targets, and Renfro's the wide receiver 1. He took over wide receiver 1 with 128 targets. Mathematically, none of this makes sense to me, and I'm out. I'm out on all this stuff. It's just too much for me, and I don't trust Derek Carr. He's a huge downgrade from Aaron Rodgers. Absolutely sucks, all right? Maybe, just maybe, Waller goes back and becomes the wide receiver 1, and Adams is the pylon. I don't know. According to 2020 stats, I would say that Waller is the 1, wouldn't you? So Waller's got that rapport. Waller maybe should be a tight end 1. He's going to be the number 1 tight end. Maybe, very possible, right? And Adams both of them aren't going to eat. So if you want to play fantasy football roulette with an early draft capital pick, you guys go ahead and do that. I'm fading both because I can get value at wide receiver later. I'm loading up on running backs the first 3 rounds. No Waller early rounds for me. No Adams early rounds for me for the reasons that I stated. I don't trust it. Mathematically doesn't add up. All right. And number 5 here, guys, too rich for me. And again, I don't want to pull up the magazine. I've done it in so many videos. If you're new to the channel, you might want to see it. If you haven't, maybe I should just show it to you. All right. Let me pull up the old magazine here. This is just a guideline of last year, guys. And I'm not just picking on this one magazine, but I want to just tell you that all consensus rankings were based on kind of how this magazine have things ranked. The guy I'm talking about that's too rich for me is a guy by the name of Cooper Kupp. Now, I'm going to say this. I want this to sink in, and there's a reason. Cooper Kupp last year, guys. I'm going to zoom that in. Can you guys see that? 22nd on the consensus ranking. This is not just in this magazine, guys. This is in all magazines. I hope you guys can see that there. Hopefully it's zoomed in. 22nd. The guy that was ranked ahead of him last year, guys, check it out, was Robert Woods. Hopefully that's zooming in for you guys nicely. Robert Woods was ranked 15th. Let me get closer here for you so you guys can see it. Okay, Robert Woods. So what I'm trying to say is, all right, Cooper Kupp last year, love the value. I told you fade Robert Woods. If you got 16-round drafts, I said fade Robert Woods. Draft Cooper Kupp round 3, round 4. He's the wide receiver 1. People are like, you're crazy. Robert Woods is better. I'm like, no. I'm going robust RB, and I'm getting my value at wide receiver, and I got Cooper Kupp. The point I'm trying to make here is that Cooper Kupp now is way too expensive. This is a guy that had an anomaly year. Anomaly. Like massive. Like better than like Michael Thomas's 2019 year and better than Antonio Brown's 2015 year, pretty much. Give or take a few targets. 191 targets, 145 receptions, 1,947 yards, 16 touchdowns. He will not duplicate these numbers. I don't know. Now, man, it's just so frustrating because he's a direct copy and paste, right? And the fact of the matter is there's other guys that could surpass him that still have not scratched the surface. Guys like Jamar Chase, I still think has more of a ceiling. Stephon Diggs could rise up still. There's a ton of rookies. Drake London can come in and surpass Cooper Kupp. In fact, there's a bold prediction. Drake London beats Cooper Kupp in fantasy points this year. I'm going to be doing another bold prediction episode. I'm getting Drake London for free. So if he doesn't surpass Cooper Kupp, I don't care. I'm not paying a first-round pick on Cooper Kupp. Too rich draft pick. Too rich. All right? I'm not doing it. Not doing it. So bottom line is, even if you factor in a slight regression, he's going to be a top 5 wide receiver. I get it. But to say that he's going to be the number 1 wide receiver based on last year, it's ludicrous. Makes my blood boil. We had the same thing happen with Michael Thomas. 2019, I told you, he's going to decline. Fade him. 2020 is not going to be the same. He got hurt. Am I saying Cooper Kupp can get hurt? Absolutely I am. Yes. I'm going to say he could possibly get hurt. You guys are crazy. Joe, you're crazy. If you want to believe that he's going to get hurt, don't draft to not draft him, then believe that. Because I'm not wasting a first-round pick, a top 5 pick on Cooper Kupp. There's no way I'm doing it. Absolutely not. Too rich draft pick. So Christian McCaffrey, could he go back to the old shape that he was back when Kyle Allen and Cam Newton were throwing the ball back in the good old heydays of 2019? Sure. Could Austin Eckler have another anomaly here, like me making a three-point shot from the bleachers of Crypto.com's arena from the nosebleeds? Could I make that three-point shot 2 times in a row? Probably not, but yeah, maybe. Could Justin Jefferson actually still completely surpass Adam Thielen and just out-target him and get even more volume? Absolutely, but I think Thielen's going to be a value, right? Still going to be in there, mixing for targets. Can Darren Waller be the wide receiver 1 and Adams be pushed to the sideline? Absolutely. Can Cooper Kupp duplicate that anomaly year? Absolutely. But remember, it's too rich of a draft pick. That's supposed to rhyme, but it didn't. I hope I had a better ending to this. But either way, guys, subscribe, thumbs up, get 16 rounds, and think logically, right? And I do all that for you guys in 60-round drafts. So you use code TUBE20, get it. Comment below who's too rich for you. And again, there's way more expensive guys. A.J. Brown not paying it. There's a ton of other guys. Tyreek Hill. I go on. But I want to list 5 here for you guys, all right? Subscribe, thumbs up. I appreciate you. Fantasy is just around the corner. Fantasy Frontlines coming Monday. We'll talk soon. I'm out.